Kellen, how do you know when it's the right time to go with Kenny and give Saquon a break? How do you kind of feel that out?
Jamal does a really good job of that. Just the rotation with those backs. Obviously, Saquon's going to get the heavy bulk of it, and I think it's just a matter of giving him different rest periods throughout the game, and a lot of it comes down to when Saquon just needs to come out, and then obviously we feel really comfortable with Kenny in there, and we end up staying on the ball, so Kenny kind of ended up staying for a number of plays, just because we were in a position we felt like we wanted to stay on the ball for a couple particular looks there, so he ended up getting a couple carries in a row.
You guys had reached the plays, Kellen, what goes into the timing of like having waited to run those specific run plays that the trap away?
Just the flow of the game. Obviously, they kind of ended up in some no-huddle situations, and so we felt like we had some particular looks. We can keep them on the ball, and we felt comfortable with where we were at, and we were able to, those are sometimes plays you're chasing throughout a game, and it's just a matter. It just happened that they went back-to-back, which was awesome, which was a great sequence for us, and sometimes those work out that way. Sometimes you're chasing them all game. You may not always get them versus a particular look.
I haven't run those much this season, if at all. What goes into like the execution of that from a coaching and player standpoint?
Yeah, just extremely high level of work, just because those are such specific plays that sometimes they're in game plans, like I was saying, and they don't get called just because the looks or you have to get out of the particular play. And so there's different plays like that you kind of chase throughout a season, throughout a game. And when the look's right and you go for it, I think credit to our guys because they made some incredible blocks in there. Jordan on the second one, incredible block at bad angle against the linebacker, and just big-time plays by those guys.
How difficult is it to stick to the run game when, through three quarters it seemed like it was a little bottled up and you kept at it? And Lane said that, you keep hammering, the wall's going to fall. But how tough is that as a coach to keep calling those run plays?
Those things happen, and certainly we have we feel comfortable with that eventually, we have been fortunate, a number of games this year where eventually those big plays happen, whether it be at New Orleans where it's kind of ugly, and eventually a couple pop. And, Cleveland was one where none of them really ever popped, and, you're kind of stuck there. You don't quite get those. But, I think our guys obviously have a strong commitment to it. They feel really confident that, we just keep going after, getting after it, keep giving ourselves opportunities. Eventually we're going to steal some at the end, and, we were able to get those in this game as well.
Has having this offensive line and Saquon, has it changed you as a play caller?
Certainly, every year your team's going to be structured differently, and I think it's important for us to build how we want to play based off the identity and the players that we have. And so our guys have done an awesome job. Obviously, we've ran the ball a number of times the last few weeks, and certainly that's become a big confidence thing for us. But we know you're going to have to play different styles throughout the season. There's going to come a time we're going to have to throw the football, and people are going to be very committed to it, and we're going to have a challenge at some point. But certainly it's something that we believe in and we want to continue to emphasize.
Are there things you can do that you can't when Jordan is in the game? I mean, Fred obviously did a good job throwing it, but can Jordan allow you to do even more?
No, that's a great question. I think every game plan is different. Obviously, we feel very fortunate that we had Fred, to be in that position to handle that situation, and certainly we're really, really excited to have Jordan, and he showed up. Just impressive. Credit to him to come back in a short week of all times where you don't really even have any physical practices, and for Jordan to hop in there and play ball. Credit to him. He's obviously one of the best left tackles in this league, and he showed it again.
With rotational positions in general, you just talked a little bit about Saquon and Kenny, but could be receiver, tight end. Are there ever moments where you're calling a play where I need this guy in there, or you just leave it up to Jamal and Aaron and Jason?
There's certainly going to be specific plays for certain players, and sometimes it's the starter, sometimes it's a role player, and so there's a lot of plays that are kind of mixed down, so to speak. Whoever's in there will play ball, and then there's going to be certain situational calls or specific plays for guys that maybe you only get 1 or 2 reps during the week, and so you want one guy working on that, and so that certainly comes up throughout a game, and really for all positions, tight ends included, receivers, running backs, all those situations.
Y'all got to the 36 when you called the trick play. Why'd you think at that point that was the time to pull the trigger?
Yeah, just an earned first down. Obviously, anytime those don't go well, obviously you feel like it's a dumb play call, and so earned first down, left hash. Sometimes it's you're chasing a specific hash to try and get to that play call, and once we cross the 50, try and be aggressive there, see if we can get it, and if not, play out the situation the rest of the way, and obviously turned into big negative play and cost us an opportunity.
So I understand the yards that could be lost on a play like that. Do you take into account like being in field goal range still?
Yeah, certainly. I think that was thought process. Obviously, felt like there was an opportunity there. We kind of been hanging on that for a few weeks, and so Fortunately, obviously poor play call on my end. We're able to kind of dig ourselves out, at least put ourselves in position to try and steal some points out of that drive. Credit to our guys on second and third down and getting completions. But, obviously didn't work.
Like the last few games especially, but maybe even overall, Jalen struggled early and then he starts to get going. Have you guys identified what some of those issues early in the games have been for him?
I think for all of us, we're trying to play cleaner football at the beginning of the game, and for me, it's always the rhythm of the play calls and how can we get ourselves into it, because again, we have a really good opening drive as far as we're moving it, and then we kind of get into some situational football down high red zone, just outside the red zone, then we kind of get stalled out and some penalties knock us out, and so I think it's critical for us to get clean rushes. Completions as much as we can early in the game, and so it's something that for all of us, we're all trying to get better in that aspect. Not just Jalen. I think every single one of us, we're trying to play faster, play cleaner football in the first quarter, because once we get into our rhythm, we tend to play pretty well in those middle 2 quarters.
Kellen, when you run the ball 40 times a game, there's not that many passes.
Mm-hmm.
Receivers don't like that. What are the conversations like? I mean, because this is kind of your identity ever since the bye. You're running 40, 45 times a game. Do you have to take extra time to talk to Devontae, Dallas, AJ about, look, there's just not going to be that many targets?
The beauty of what we have on offense, we got a lot of really talented players, and they all deserve opportunities in these games. And so, in the pass game, when you have a game like that where you have a lot of rushing attempts and not as many passing opportunities, naturally those guys aren't going to get as many touches probably as they deserve and have earned. But, I think those guys, you're constantly in conversation about those opportunities eventually present themselves. Again, like we said, not every game are we going to be able to rush 40, 45 attempts. We'd love to. But there's going to come different games and different styles, and that's the beauty of the NFL, that every week's a different challenge. And there's going to come a time we're going to have to sling it around and make some plays in some critical situations, and those guys will be ready.
What's it like preparing for Rams defense without Aaron Donald, and how are they different without him?
I think they've done an excellent job of kind of evolving this year, building off of the scheme that they've had in place for a number of years. Credit to them, as Aaron has left and they've transitioned into a little bit of a different structure, just because what they have on defense line, I think they have, a really, really talented defense line. A bunch of young guys that are playing extremely well, high level. They give you a lot of different looks, a lot of different presentations, which can be challenging throughout the week, just as you get comfortable anticipating going against these guys. And so I think these guys are playing really, really good football right now. They've been playing really well coming out of their bye week. You can tell they took advantage of a bye week, and they're playing as well as anyone.
Piggybacking off of that, what have you seen from Jared Verse that has led to his early success so far?
Yeah, relentless motor, premier player in this league. I think, you definitely see it. And him and a number of the other guys on the defensive line, they're doing a really, really good job. And, they're getting after the quarterback, pressuring him. I think they're doing a really good job in the run as far as utilizing their fronts and kind of stuffing out the run game. And so this will be a big-time challenge for us.
Do you think with how successful you guys have been on the ground since the bye, that teams would start focusing more on stopping that? Have you seen that? Did you see that last week against Washington?
Certainly, anytime you're rushing attempts are that high, naturally, I think it'll be a focus for defenses. Obviously, we just have to play a good adjustment football. We got to understand the teams are going to give you different challenges, different presentations. We got to be able to adjust throughout the game. I thought Washington, credit to those guys. I thought they did an excellent job. They made some adjustments coming into our game on a short week, gave us some looks that we hadn't seen previously by them. And, I think our guys did a really, really good job of, as the game went, just hang in there, hang with it, make the adjustments we need to make, and then able to make some plays as the game progressed.
You were teammates with Matthew Stafford in Detroit as his teammate 10 years ago. Yeah. What did you see from him then that allowed him to have longevity and success in this league?
Matthew's just one of the premier quarterbacks in this league. I was fortunate to be around him for a few years in Detroit. I think what I always learned so much from him when I was in the room with him was just how much work went into it during the week. I think, Matthew's preparation is very rare. The work he puts into it, just the amount of film he watches. I think he's got an excellent feel for the game. His ability to make adjustments at the line of scrimmage and kind of control the whole operation is very rare. And so, certainly I learned a lot, being around him for those first couple of years, and obviously he's continued for a number of years.
On the topic of having specific packages for specific players, it seemed like there was a thing in this game with Jahan on those orbit motions. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you put in for the game itself, or is that something that has sort of been waiting all season long?
It's been utilized a few other times with Jahan. I think obviously that game we just made the decision that felt like it presented itself and gave us an opportunity. I think just like our other receivers, we think really highly of Jahan, and so anytime we can get those guys on the field, give them opportunities, we feel like he's been able to take advantage of a number of these, and so we felt like it was just a different presentation to help us, and he does a nice job with playing that space game.
Like Anais Smith on the jet sweeps.
Anais, again, just giving guys different roles and different opportunities, and I think Anais, obviously, going back to his role in college and some of the space game that he has played, he does a really nice job with that. And so, the last couple weeks, we've kind of put him in that type of role, and we'll just let those roles always adjust and evolve as the season goes on, and we'll see. And I think for him coming off of IR and hopping in and kind of having that role in that package, he's embraced it, and he's done a nice job, and so we'll see where it takes us.